Hey everybody, welcome to TheNonProphets. This is our special Valentine's Day episode of Love here on TheNonProphets. I'm your host, Jeff D. Our producer is Russell Glasser.
Hi.
Today's guests are Linda Raymond.
Afternoon.
Keryn Glasser.
Hello.
And Ashley Perrien.
Hello.
Of course, Keryn and Ashley aren't here yet, so that was me doing it. Today's opening music was I'm the Man Who Murdered Love by XTC, a nice little love theme there for the holiday from some nice atheist lads from England. We are live, February 14? That's the day, right? February 14, 2004. You can talk, you know.
I don't think I get it.
Oh. Okay, so everybody is running away from the table except me, so I guess I'll just go straight into announcements. National Atheist Ombuds, right? It's this organization that what they'll do is they collect reports of slander and persecution, defamation against atheists and other non-believers in the U.S. media, and then they find the local atheist organizations in that area, alert them to what happened, and get those organizations to make a big stink about it in the press. So, if you encounter anything like that and you want to report it to the Ombuds, write it up and send it to ombuds@atheism.org. The Heart of the Beholder film project is, as far as I know, still going. Pre-production began on January 1 with shooting scheduled to begin in April. According to their website, they have received $267,000 in pledges out of the $300,000 they were looking for, and so they're going ahead. There's still a chance to get on that bandwagon, pledge money to support the film, and possibly make a little cash. For information about all this, go to www.beholder.com. Old news update, Dr. Yunus Shaikh is free and in safety. We covered this story, I think, about a year ago. There was the big outcry. This doctor was imprisoned for criticizing Islam or something. I forget the details, but the story says Rationalist International confirms that Dr. Yunus Shaikh has reached a safe haven in Europe, sentenced to death in a made-up blasphemy trial in August of 2001. There we go, there's the date. Dr. Shaikh was languishing in solitary confinement in one of the dreaded death cells of Rawalpindi Central Jail for more than 2 years before the High Court, after a conflicting decision in the appeal trial, referred the case back to the Sessions Court. The retrial took place in secrecy under heavy security in the jail itself. Dr. Shaikh handled his own defense, was acquitted, and released. He rejected the government-provided security guards, returned to his family, stayed in hiding for a few weeks, and then escaped Pakistan to Europe. So, but we should all remember this particular case is only the most publicized among hundreds of blasphemy cases going on in Pakistan right now. But there was a big letter-writing campaign that is believed to have had an effect on public opinion and what the court decided it had to do there. All right. So.
Yes, hi.
Linda?
Yes, do you want to jump in with the San Francisco story?
Would you like to do a news story? Let's do a news story.
All right. Good old California, specifically San Francisco, they are officially marrying gay couples.
Officially?
Officially. They have
what does that mean?
That means the mayor has in fact, they're called the Renegade Mayor, has actually issued legal marriage license to couples up to the first two to get married were two women, Phyllis Lyon and Del Martin. They are not legally married. They are officially married on paper with a legal license, and they got 30 more couples who are lined up outside the San Francisco County Clerk's office waiting for these licenses also. They have got a group called the Campaign for California Families calling the marriages a sham, which legally they are. But the interesting thing is these people, the Campaign for California Families, have filed a lawsuit against the city, and they're the ones who call it the Renegade Mayor. These being the same people who, of course, denounce activist judiciary whenever they're favoring the liberal causes, but now they're flocking to them in order to support their little pathetic conservative cause.
Uh-huh.
It says here that they hope...
Well, let's see, that's the thing about prejudice, right? If you're clinging to a long-standing old prejudice, you can claim that that is the default position, right?
Oh, yes, it's the
but that is the
tradition.
non-active position. That is the standard position. And that anybody who stands against your prejudice, why, they're the, upstart, troublemaking newcomers.
Oh, gosh, yes. These are the people who say the country went to hell in the 60s when everybody started complaining, and with their own philosophy of, after which, because of which, it was 56 that under God was added to the pledge. So I think we can take that as the root cause of all these problems, don't you?
Sure.
It's like we're going to use their logic.
In the 60s, they say?
Oh, yes. I've actually got that in one of these other stories.
I remember the 60s. It wasn't that bad.
Really? I don't remember them. And not for the obvious reasons.
Well.
But yeah, it says here the two people who got married, the Martin and Lyon, said it was so exciting to finally be able to get married, even though they had no ring, and they realized that it's not legally by state laws legal whatsoever. Quote, the marriage certificates are not worth the paper they were written on, and what Newsom, the mayor of San Francisco, has done is called smoke and mirrors by Staver, who's giving the impressions that mayors are above the law. This coming from the people who want to amend the freaking Constitution for every little irritation that's biting their shorts for that week. But it's the liberals who are above the law.
Well, where to begin? More on gay marriage. This is sort of a continuation of our last episode, which was all about family values, and the whole the Valentine's Day thing kind of plays into that. Speaking of marriage, in Pakistan, and speaking of Pakistan again, tying our first two stories together.
All right.
Women are now free to decide who they want to get married to in Pakistan.
Hurrah!
It's about time, but, it's always nice when there's some movement forward. The Supreme Court of Pakistan ruled in a landmark judgment that a Muslim woman who chose her husband by herself and married him against her parents' wishes had the legal right to do so. The controversial marriage, conducted in 1996, broke with long-standing traditions. The father of the woman fought for 7 years to get the act invalidated by a court of law, but finally lost the case when the Pakistani Supreme Court rejected his final appeal.
7 years? It must be one of those things that involves family honor. That's about the only thing they'll spend that much effort on.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm sure they didn't get a dowry either. That probably set them off.
She's not your little girl anymore after 7 years of marriage. Whatever it is that you think you were trying to preserve, it's long gone. Give it up.
Well, they're entitled to so many recompenses when their daughter's sold off. They get jewels. Well, probably not jewels these days, obviously, but they get cash settlements for these women. Of course they want to choose their own husband, or they want to choose their daughter's husbands.
Right. Because they get money for it. I wonder if he got any in this deal. Maybe she got to keep it because she chose for herself.
Yeah, it sounds like even the matchmakers didn't get anything.
Wow. Keryn, what do you think?
I think women should have the right to choose, Rob.
Are you even... You're nowhere near your microphone.
Can I be...
And by the way, I've already introduced you two, you latecomers to the show.
Yes, move it now.
I faked your voices during the introduction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So you're cool with the Pakistan thing?
Yes.
We can move on?
Yeah.
Do you have any news? Either of you? No? Okay. You have opinions, is what you got.
Give Keryn half my news.
All right, I'll give you one that'll perk you up a little.
Let me do another one. Since we're on the subject of marriage, let me do my film review now. I was home sick last Friday, and so I went through my videotape collection. And in my collection of videotapes, I've got a bunch of tapes made by my parents. That would be my Methodist minister parents, formerly Methodist ministers, and now non-denominational ministers after they got to the retirement age for the Methodist Church, but they wanted to keep going. They used to have one of those video disc players, not a laser disc even, like the older thing than that. If anybody remember those clunky old giant plastic sleeves?
Yeah, they're the size of a 33.
Yeah,
I remember those.
they had one of those, and for me and my brothers, they would videotape or pirate, as we say in the industry, these movies and send them to us, right? Which was nice. But so I have these things, and a lot of them I've never watched. I've had them in my collection for like 10 years. So I pull out this one tape that has a film called Berlin Express, which was quite odd, and also The Remarkable Mr. Pennypacker. This is a color film from 1959, starring Clifton Webb and Dorothy McGuire, based on a play by Liam O'Brien. It takes place in the 1890s, and the main character, the remarkable Mr. Pennypacker, in the film is a self-described freethinker, openly critical of old traditions and openly in favor of progress. He's an early adopter of the automobile. All of his neighbors think, that crazy gizmo he's driving around in. He's in favor of the women having the vote. There's a scene where he's talking with his secretary about she's the first woman secretary hired in that town because he thought it was stupid that there should be a gender restriction on what kind of secretary you could have. He's also the chairman of the local Darwin League. But then what the story is about is it comes out that Mr. Pennypacker is a bigamist. His one family in Harrisburg finds out that he's got another wife and family in Pittsburgh, and the whole story is about this playing out. And his character is completely unrepentant, insisting all along that this is a perfectly reasonable way to live, and he never backs down throughout the entire film. In fact, he gets into a debate with a minister who accuses him of violating morality, and he says, "No, sir, I haven't violated morality. I violated geography, because if I was in India, you wouldn't think twice about the fact that I've got two wives." Which is a much more reasonable argument than you'd expect to hear from a character in that position in a film out of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. He makes a big point about how he raised his children to be free thinkers too, to be open-minded, to think rationally, to flaunt rules that they think are silly and live according to their own rules, and to be brave and open about it. And so the climax of the film comes when his children in the first family get together to vote on whether they think that what he did was wrong. And they go off and they have their vote, and they come back and they say, "Daddy, we've decided that what you did was wrong because you told us that you should be brave and open and honest about what you did, but you didn't tell us." Which was cool, right? I mean, that is a fair criticism.
How old were these kids supposed to be?
They ranged from like a little, 6-year-old to some, 18, 19, I would guess. So that was pretty cool. The only thing to mar this, the free-thinking nature of this film is the generic happy ending, where it comes out during the course of the film that his second wife, the one in Pittsburgh, already died a couple of years ago, so there isn't any conflict between the actual wives. And the Mr. Pennypacker has a spinster sister who goes off to Pittsburgh to take over as the mom to that batch of kids. And then at the end of the film, Mr. Pennypacker and his wife in Harrisburg go back into the church to renew their vows.
Oh, God. You said that was based on a play, right?
But every film does that, huh?
You said that was from a play?
It was from a play.
Is that the actual name of the play?
I think so, yeah.
Who was the author?
Liam O'Brien.
Liam O'Brien.
I found a review on the web that claims that the film version and the stage version were pretty similar, but this guy was also like all over the Liam O'Brien for trying to foist this evil bigamist on us as a sympathetic character. So it could be that the stage play was even more extreme.
I had to check that out.
But that was very interesting. Put that on your list of free thought / atheist films, because it's worth it. Okay. We got all these people here and nobody's frickin' talking. Does nobody have an opinion about anything?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I'm going to go ahead and read a copy. That's why I asked for the author. I'm always curious how they changed the ending to fit Hollywood. Because it sounds familiar. I almost think I may have read that. I wonder if he's written any short stories involving Pennypacker. It sounds very familiar to me.
Well, in searching for the name on the internet, I did find that the character of Kramer from Seinfeld had an alternate identity of a doctor or Professor Pennypacker or something at some point in some episode. That could be from there. That might be what you're remembering.
No, I avoid that show like the plague.
Do you want to do a news story, Keryn?
I suppose.
Good grief. You know.
Conviction.
I'm sick.
Are you? You're
Great.
sick? What's wrong with you? Is it the cold that's going around? Fever.
Fever. Well, it's probably mostly
So
gone
why
down
are
by
you
now. But
here?
it was up all night.
Are you contagious?
Yeah, it's me to be. Yes, I am. That's why I'm here.
If you're sick, you
No,
shouldn't
just
be.
kidding.
Shouldn't be harming yourself to do the
I
show.
was sick yesterday when you asked me to be on the show. You wanted my valuable
said if
opinion
you-
on dating websites.
Yeah, actually, we're going to talk about that a little later.
I can do news if you
You want
want
to
me
be silent
to.
until then? You hand the news to Ashley. He's not carrying his weight either.
Here, I can do yet another news story on sex ed programs.
Oh, good.
Which I could tell you the story without even looking at the paper because it's the same old thing. President Bush is now trying to fund abstinence programs in public schools.
What? We've never heard of anything like this before.
Oh my! It says a new federal grant is paying to teach this. Is paying this new grant. This is a federal grant that is doing it. It's called Sex Can Wait.
This is the same sort of thing that we discussed on a previous episode. Scientifically, has been shown does not work.
Sex.
Blah blah blah. Abstinence
It's
from
not
marriage.
sex that does the actual waiting. It's the people that, could have
Okay.
the sex.
First of all, they don't.
Why are
They
we
said
emphasizing
unlike
sex?
the Catholic-based programs, they don't make you sign pledge cards that you'll stay a virgin till marriage.
Yeah.
But they don't teach any other form of contraceptive. They just teach you all about abstinence. It's kind of like a dare to keep kids off drugs program, in that they have role-playing situations where one kid is
role-playing.
the other kid to have
They have
sex.
like
and the other
character
kid
sheets
gets
and
to-
dice and everything.
Probably, and they get to.
They're like sex monsters come at you and you try to
come up
survive
with
their
creative
attack.
ways to say no.
All the male NPCs are named John, no doubt.
I can find that game.
You should. These people.
Do they make
How
them?
can they design an
Confusing.
entire course around abstinence only? I mean, if there's things like learn about...
Today in class, children, we're going to not have sex.
I know. Okay.
How's that
study
different
hall.
from any other class?
Study hall now.
Well, they probably teach you all the ways sex is evil. The one thing that jumped out at me...
You cannot have sex by going to a movie.
The one thing that jumped out at me in this article was that there's someone, I don't know, Catholic school principals, named Huey. There's someone named... I'm being gestured to talk louder and talk closer to the microphone. There's someone named Huey in a Catholic school who says abstinence is a lightning rod word. So people get nervous when you say, are you going to come in and teach abstinence?
So that means we won't be hearing
Gosh.
abstinence in Georgia anytime soon. Is that it?
Yeah.
It's not a
hearing the
lightning
word
rod
evolution
word.
or abstinence. They're both
It's a
over.
stupid concept.
It's a...
Good grief. Did they make them wear white T-shirts?
It doesn't say so. But here's the other thing. He also says, most people assume it would be a slam dunk in a Catholic school, but this is a Health and Human Services grant through the federal government, and therefore we can't teach Catholic values. Abstinence is a Catholic value. They say that
so the
since it's
school
a
is
government
complaining.
program,
Yeah.
we can't teach Catholic values, we can just teach abstinence. I guess when I roll my eyes on the radio, you can't really hear it, can you?
Are either of y'all familiar with a book called Ape in Essence by Huxley?
No.
It's very interesting. It's set after the Third World War. Only the people in New Zealand have survived.
This would be the science fiction author
Correct. Aldous Huxley.
Aldous Huxley.
Correct. Yes, and what it is
And not Darwin's friend.
No, not Julian Huxley.
Julian? I thought it was Thomas Huxley. What is that Huxley's name? Right now?
Thomas
Darwin's pal.
There was a Julian and there was a Thomas Henry Huxley.
Okay.
You're all right. Everybody in this room is right.
Everybody keeping score.
Put any first name to it and you'll still be right.
The amazing Mr. Huxley.
Well, the interesting
Turns out he's 3 different guys.
Well, the interesting thing about the ape in essence is that the survivors on the North American continent, specifically in California, where one of the survey missions from New Zealand lands, is they have abstinence only for all their non-sex acts. And the way they promote it is they have 2 patches that say no, covering a woman's breast, and 2 more on the buttocks. So men are reminded whenever they see a woman pass by, no, no, no.
In other words, their attention is
they have little dealy boppers attached to them.
So where exactly is their attention drawn at this time?
That's the point that the narrator makes. One of the gentlemen for the New Zealand survey falls in with these people, and he's commenting on that. It's if you're familiar with Huxley, then you already know it's anti all this restrictions. That's just the way he drives his point home.
Don't think of the pink elephant, people. Don't think of it.
Yes, he says that the little no-no patches just drive everybody into a frenzy, so that when they are finally allowed to release their seed in the big communal religious pot, it's okay.
That's imagery we did not need.
The big communal religious pot?
Yeah, they have an official orgy where everybody has to get together and try to impregnate as many women as possible, and then they just kill the mutants when they're born.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting story.
Wow, at least they're killing the mutants.
Yes, but you're not counting a mutant unless she has something like more than 6 nipples or 8 fingers.
Speaking of orgies, did a little research on the origin of Valentine's Day for anybody out there that hasn't already heard this. According to University of Notre Dame professor Lawrence Cunningham, scholars have 2 main theories to explain how February 14 became synonymous with romance.
Yay.
1. The Roman feast of Lupercalia. Lupercalia? Lupercalia, thank you. This ancient pagan fertility celebration, which honored Juno, queen of the Roman gods and goddesses, and goddess of women in marriage, was held on February 14, the day before the feast began. During festival time, women would write love letters, also known as billets, and leave them in a large urn. It's a communal urn. The men of Rome would then draw a note from the urn and ardently pursue the woman who wrote the message they had chosen. Apparently, the custom of lottery drawings to select valentines continued into the 18th century, coming to an end when people decided they'd rather choose their valentines sight unseen. That's a little commentary.
Getting into all that new age, newfangled, like kids can choose their own wives and husbands now instead of good old family planning.
Well, only I don't know if you missed the story. Only just recently, like last month, did the Supreme Court of Pakistan decide that a woman is legally entitled to choose her own husband.
Yeah, we walked in right there.
Wow.
So that's the main theory. The second theory is, in the Middle Ages, people began to send love letters on Valentine's Day. Those medieval Europeans also believed that birds began to mate on February 14th, and so that would be the day.
That's not what I heard.
What did you hear?
I mean, this is Notre Dame compared to me hearing rumors.
Oh.
But I mean, first of all, that has nothing to do with anybody named St. Valentine.
No, I'll get to him. I'll get to him.
Then I'm not going to tell my theories until you.
There is some controversy. All right. Well, I'll get right to it. She can chime in. There is also some controversy regarding Saint Valentine, for whom the famous day is named. Archaeologists who unearthed a Roman catacomb and an ancient church dedicated to Saint Valentine are not sure if there was one Valentine or more. Today, the Catholic Church recognizes at least 3 different saints named Valentine or Valentinus, all of whom were martyred on February 14.
Goes back to that whole polygamy thing.
It would be gay polygamy if they're all saints, right? No, wait, I guess they have female saints. But they're not. There's not going to be female ones named Valentine, are there?
Could be a last name.
Okay. At least 2 of those martyred Valentines or Valentinuses were Valentini. I don't know how to pluralize that.
Valentines.
Valentines. At least 2 of them were martyred during the 3rd century. The most popular candidate is Saint Valentine, Saint Valentine, the official one for the day, was a 3rd century Roman priest who practiced Christianity, well, duh, and performed secret marriages against the direct orders from Emperor Claudius II, who believed single soldiers were more likely to join his army, and so he outlawed marriage.
That's the version I've heard.
Wow.
Legend has it that Valentine sent a friend, his jailer's daughter, a note signed "From your Valentine" before he was executed on February 14, 270 A.D.
That's the version I heard.
And, yeah, he was, like, beaten to death and then, like, disemboweled or beheaded or something.
And stoned. They got some stones in there somehow.
Yeah. They were pretty serious about... I guess the Roman Empire, after Christianity started taking over and claiming that this guy that they nailed to a tree is still around, they started getting really serious about their executions.
I had an argument with someone sometime on a Valentine's. I was like, well, first of all, I mean, I'm an atheist. Why would I celebrate Valentine's Day? They're like, it has nothing to do with Christianity or God. I'm like,
Saint Valentine.
Saint Valentine. Saint.
Well, Valentine's Day, as it's recognized
Saint
today, has
Patrick.
nothing to do with the Saints' feast that was originally on this date.
Huh?
Well, you know how St. Valentine's Day, every day of the year in the Catholic liturgy is a feast saint day. A saint's feast day, excuse me. And this used to just be the feast of St. Valentine. But the way we practice it these days with the stupid cards and the idiotic animals and the ridiculous chocolate has nothing to do with the religious feast at all. So it really is a secular holiday.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of people out there.
I'm not too keen on Valentine's Day.
Then it's apparently secular like Christmas is then. Because Christmas is just, Santa Claus and giving presents, and it's so...
In other words...
Yeah, I don't blame the holiday.
Valentine's may be a little more secular than Christmas, but it's still,
I don't blame the holiday for the fact that religious dickweeds come and, peed their religion all over it. I don't care. I don't freaking care. Christmas is fun with the Santa Clauses and the gifts and all that crap. The music gets pretty irritating, but
real quick.
Oh, yes.
But, that's really, the problem there is really that it's overdone. But, as a entirely arbitrary excuse to have some parties and shit, I don't have a problem with that. And same thing with Valentine's Day. I mean, it's interesting to me. We can trace this thing back to the Roman feast of Lupercalia, but we're back to frickin' gods again. So,
but they left out the best bit about Lupercalia is that when the women were running around, the men had to chase them with strips of leather and little bull's pizzles and whatnot, and wallop them around the thighs to help promote fertility.
Bull's pizzles?
Yes.
What do you mean?
A bull's penis.
Oh,
a nice big one.
Yay!
Wow.
And so they were supposed to whip them around, and the fertility, the strength of the bull was supposed to help them be more fertile.
Wow, they just use lulabs and entrogs in Judaism for fertility.
You there, Roman lad. Stop chasing that woman around with a bull's penis. Don't you know an important saint was martyred this very day? Oh,
wasn't it before the Christians came and took all the fun out of it?
Oh, I guess I'll just send her a card.
Yes, that's when Valentine's Day became too risque for the Christians.
Alrighty. So that's Valentine's Day.
Wow.
We did Dr. Shaik, did we?
Yes.
Correct. Who else wants to do it? Why don't you do a news story, Ashley? It's your turn.
Okay, I could
What do you got?
I have something about Texas saleswoman faces trial for selling sex toys. Time.
What, again?
Time.
This is the third of these that I've known since I moved to Austin.
I've heard of these a couple times, and mostly because I know that I think in Texas, I think we have over 5. 5 or more sex toys. You're considered a distributor.
Now, let's be clear. The law says dildos.
Oh, does it? Okay,
yeah.
So it's not just...
So if it's some other kind of sex toy...
Like the ones the men like, there's no limit. So you can have Blow Up Betsy and Blow Up Susie and Blow Up Rose and all their cousins and sisters.
Of them.
Yeah. And 5 hamster dolls even, and it's okay.
Hamster doll?
Okay.
I've never seen those.
I think that might
Do they have those?
Yeah, are you familiar with the build your own sex doll site? It's called
No.
Yeah, you go there and you actually decide what shape you want, what color for the skin, what color for the nipples, all these little doodads, and they build you
On the hamster?
No, what they do is they build you a real human doll and they send it to you. And so people built a parody site called Hamster Dolls at hamsterdolls.com. And you say if you want a teddy bear hamster or a short-haired hamster, and if you want 8 nipples or 10. It is a brilliant parody.
What's that website again?
Hamsterdolls.com. It is an absolute scream.
Actually, do your damn story.
Okay. This is about Joanne Webb, a mother of 3 and a Baptist. Is in Burleson, Texas, and a former school teacher. She also faces trials for being a smut merchant, apparently. In addition to a Baptist and a teacher, she's also a smut peddler. She was 43 and arrested in November, it says here, by 2 undercover police officers for selling sexual toys and charged with violating Texas obscenity laws. Could face up to a year in jail and a fine of $4,000 if convicted.
I'm sorry, how far undercover were they?
That is an ironic way of putting it.
So, what is it here?
And what the heck is up with police departments that send guys undercover to buy dildos?
Do they have nothing better to do with their money and resources than
Who's on vibrator duty today?
Aren't there, murderers running around out there to be dealing with?
I know, where's the drugs?
This is actually one part of the story that I thought was interesting. Gloria Gillespie, a pastor at Lighthouse Church in Burleson, said she has met and counseled some women who had talked to Webb about the products she sold. It was causing problems with their marriages, she said. What kind of problems? Did the husband suddenly feel inadequate? Is that the problem?
Well, we can only speculate. So what, shall we?
Yes, please.
Rampant speculation till now ensues.
I don't know. I mean, once again, the real problem here is these goofballs going around indoctrinating people that they got to be terrified by penis-shaped hunks of rubber.
Exactly.
What?
We're not part of this conversation.
You're not terrified by them, though, are you?
No.
All right.
Well, don't forget, it's Alabama that enshrined in law.
You wouldn't need therapy if you met somebody that sold them. She's shaking her head.
Well, it's Alabama that actually enshrined in law.
This woman apparently is counseling churchgoers that had to have therapy from her once they found out there were people actually selling dildos.
Oh, my God.
You're what?
Women have no legal right to expect sexual pleasure. That's actually in the laws of Alabama. You remember they had that case a little while back.
Wow.
And that was one of the arguments. That was one of their arguments, is that the reason they don't allow women to either buy dildos or have more than 2, I forget what it is because there is no innate right to pleasure for women. They actually say for women, as I recall. And I'm sure if we searched in the Texas Constitution, we'd look. But you see, it has to be for men because it's not said that there's not.
Well, there's no innate right to pleasure in any.
Well, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that as far as it goes. But how do you extend that to then don't sell them dildos?
Yeah, exactly. But you can still sell everything else, just not these little devices.
Sure, there is. It's in the Declaration of Independence.
The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit.
The pursuit of getting off.
You can try and be happy, but if you can't quite get there. That's
not
okay
anybody
too.
else's fault.
You could go ahead and chase this woman down the street.
I would say that buying a dildo would be a pursuit.
True, it's the usage of the dildo.
I mean,
you're allowed to have it and dream about it.
It's not like the women were demanding that they had to be given dildos for free, right? It's not like they were saying, the law requires me to, that says that I have a right to the pleasure, so you have to just give me the dildo. Yeah. No. So I don't understand how you get from that statement to a law against.
Well, ask the men in the legislature, I'm sure.
Up on the show?
Well, it's because men are the ones who are making laws. Men are apparently either inadequate or grossed out by these things, so let's make them illegal. But all the ones that are for men, those are okay. We can understand those. Those are safe. But the ones for women, ew. I don't need any more competition than I've already got.
Well, I have a friend in Houston who had a conversation with a woman he knew who was either about to become unmarried or had just become divorced. Uh-huh. And she had this device called a Sybian, or maybe it's a Sybian, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a little thing.
As a matter of fact, I'm familiar with those. Thank you.
All right. And it drove her husband nuts because, quote, what man can compete with that? And that's when she started realizing what a
don't freaking compete with it. I mean,
that's just
sit back, watch, have a good time. What's the problem?
Yeah, what she said. That was the problem, is that because he felt himself inadequate, he wanted to punish her by not letting her have her fun. And I only bring that up because I imagine that's part of what drives these other things too. It's like, if you can't come yourself to somebody else's level, don't strive, bring them down to yours type of mentality.
Yeah, if you can't compete, then you're doing something wrong. It's plastic.
Yeah, learn how to compete better instead of trying to stop the things that But really, I think the gross out factor is probably even an equally big part of that problem. And once again, we have got these institutions in our culture called churches that are in the business of
promoting
of promoting the gross out factor.
Yeah. They're probably also worried that it's some kind of sinful birth control technique. If you're getting pleasure without the use of your husband, then you're not. Yeah,
if you can get your jollies that way, then you're less likely to have sex with your husband and actually have children.
Which should also be none of their damn business.
Of course, with the Catholic Church, one of their priests actually refused to perform a wedding between a man in a wheelchair and his woman because he wouldn't be able to father any children.
Is this true?
Yeah, that was about 4 or 5 years ago now.
So was that the only purpose of marriage then? To have kids?
Yeah.
Of course.
They're really big on this having kids.
Well, having kids, yes, I can understand being big on that.
What the hell? I mean, everybody has a sex drive. Pretty much everybody, right?
If the Catholic Church...
Since when did humanity ever need institutions to promote people making babies? What on earth is the point of that?
If they really want to take this to the logical limit, they ought to force people to get divorced once they hit menopause or whatever.
I've often thought that you should have a license when you get married showing that you're not only able to have children, but you're going to have at least 2 or 3. When you become infertile, you have to get divorced. If you're infertile, you're not allowed to get married in the first place. I mean, if that's the only reason to have marriage between man and woman is for children, and they just don't take it to the proper length.
By the way, getting back to the movie, the remarkable Mr. Pennypacker, in his argument with the priest, right? He said the institution of marriage is there to promote, the formation of families and the conception and raising of children. Well, I've got 17.
Well, one of the other things that just makes me nuts about this marriage is they say that if you have
Just visualizing having 17 children.
I really thought the movie should have been renamed The Remarkable Mrs. Pennypacker, but...
Pennypackers.
I thought I heard once that you die after the 13th child or something.
Oh, no. You can have as many as you're physically capable of.
Physically capable of carrying more than 13 children in their lifetime or something like that.
Oh, sure.
You'd have to eat really well.
I think there is an actual finite number of eggs, isn't there?
No, but that's many thousands.
Like thousands.
Thousands upon thousands.
So there you go, thousands.
How many months are there in, let's see, about 47 years, give or take? Because from about 13 to about 60, you can have kids, and you've got 1 egg a month.
Yes, but you can't have multiple pregnancies going on at the same time.
Well, true, but that's your potential. I mean, that's how many potential babies.
Oh, yes.
Right, but if you're just constantly pregnant, divide that by 9 months.
Yeah.
By 9 months. Calculator.
That's a pretty tough one. That's a really tough one.
Inquiring minds want to know. How many years?
Roughly between 13 and about 60.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
The more healthy we're getting, the younger we're starting and the later we're ending.
Come on, give me a ballpark figure.
13 to 60.
10 to 60.
So 50 years. 50 years times 12 months divided by 9 months. That's 66.6. That's 66 and 2/3 kids.
And it's assuming you're not nursing, because nursing is a natural retardant for pregnancies.
Is it?
Yeah.
How long does that go on?
Really?
I have no idea. Yeah, well, that's why in the Middle Ages there was this unique phenomenon where the upper classes were breeding more than the lower classes because they were giving their kids out to nursemaids. So within 2 or 3 months they could go ahead and get pregnant again. Whereas the lower class parents who were having to nurse their own children were having it the usual, every 8 or 9 months between.
Start having nursemaids again.
Another 8 or 9 months in between.
Something like that.
So like half as many. Hold on.
So that's 33.
That's 33 and a third kids.
So
there you go.
So this lady only had half the possible number of kids.
Of course, every single one of those could have been triplets. So we're back up to like 100.
Yeah, you can always have twins and triplets and such, yes. And with our fertility drugs now, I mean, I've heard of, we even knew this one couple in England who had 7 kids at one time.
I would think
7 kids.
Okay, well, this gets into the whole if a woman's infertile, she's not allowed to get married. But I would think that fertility drugs would be against the Catholic Church because if you're not able to have kids, that means that God didn't want you to have kids.
Either that, or it should be mandated by the Catholic Church because everyone ought to have kids.
Well, you see, they rationalize this.
One stupid interpretation of your fucking rules, and
they rationalize this by saying, "Well, God delivered science to us." So that these poor women, poor couples could have children.
But then we should be able to take that same logic and say that man delivered... God
yes, but since when has consistency been a part of religion?
We could use birth control. I mean, either you can use birth control and fertility drugs, or you can't use either of them.
The thing is, if you have fertility drugs, that delivers more people to the church who can then give money.
Oh yeah, let's get back to my theory. Let's get back to my theory of why religion involves itself in the whole procreation thing. Right? It is not that human beings need to be goaded into having sex and getting pregnant. Right? That's pretty much going to happen. What it's there for is to take advantage of that natural, might say, wildly uncontrollable urge on the part of human beings to claim it, as their own, as part of the religion.
Yeah. And that way they have the power of controlling it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Plus, they get control of the creation of new human beings, which they can then indoctrinate at an earlier age. Bang, they're in business.
When you do end up having sex, then it's the church that you can thank for it because they allowed it. They were behind it because now you can have children, and so you can thank them for it. So yes, anything they can do to get their fingers into it is...
What was that, Ashley?
Sorry. Imagery we don't need.
Speaking of birth control, here in Texas, the ACA'S Corporation, that's a drugstore chain, has fired 3 pharmacists who declined to fill an emergency contraception prescription for a woman who had been raped. Gene Hare, 33 of Denton, said he and 2 co-workers were fired on January 29, 6 days after refusing to fill the prescription. ACA'S has declined to comment on their employment status. Joan Gallagher, the vice president of communications for the Largo, Florida-based ACA'S, would only say the company had taken the appropriate disciplinary action. Hare said he declined to fill the prescription for the so-called morning after pill because he believes it could have killed the embryo if the woman already had conceived. Though he had declined 5 or 6 times in the past to fill such prescriptions, it was the first time he had been handed one for a rape victim, he said. I went back into the back room and prayed briefly about it, said Hare, who had worked for ACA'S for 5 years. I actually called my pastor at Denton Bible Church and asked him what he thought about it.
I have one question. How did the pharmacist know she had been raped?
My guess is that
any of the other
that when the woman came in with her prescription, and the guy said, "No, I'm not giving those to you because it's evil," she said, "Fuck you, I was raped, asshole." That's my interpretation. That's what I would have said.
Except you wouldn't have been raped.
Well, yeah, if I was a woman, then it happened to me. The 2 other pharmacists who were present at the time also declined to fill the prescription, so they got fired too. The rape victim had the prescription filled at a nearby pharmacy. ACA'S employment manual says pharmacists are not allowed to opt out of filling a prescription for religious, moral, or ethical reasons. Hare said he did not know about that policy until his supervisors questioned him about it shortly before he was fired. He declined to discuss his future plans.
Hopefully he doesn't have one.
Well, he shouldn't, because
he displays
appalling ignorance of his own field. The morning after pill does not It prevents an egg from implanting, therefore it never has a chance to become even an embryo. It doesn't even get to what is a cytoplast.
He apparently believed that
but he's
a woman
ignorant
could
of his
become
own
pregnant the day after she's
according to the news story. Morning after pills are higher doses of the hormones in regular birth control pills and have been sold under the brand names Plan B and Perrien since 1998. Taken within 72 hours of unprotected sexual intercourse, the pills are at least 75% effective at preventing pregnancy. They work by preventing ovulation or fertilization of an egg. If fertilization already has occurred, they prevent the egg from implanting into the uterus, the medical definition of pregnancy.
Correct. So a woman can never become pregnant who's taken this because it can't implant.
But it's the exact same thing as any kind of birth control. I mean, a condom prevents pregnancy.
And I bet you
but
can
this guy,
with no problem.
These frickin' religious weirdos, right, would say, well, if the sperm has entered the egg, even if it hasn't implanted into the uterus, then she's pregnant.
Every sperm is sacred. Well, and they're affecting the FDA because they have again delayed the decision to legalize the morning after, or I should say, to allow the morning after pill to be sold over the counter. They want more information on 16 and 17-year-olds who have used the pill.
I'd like more information on that, too. Can I get that list?
You want the names, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the scary things about it...
That.
Well, one of the quotes from it is the opponents who are arguing against the morning after birth control are saying that it could lull women into complacency about regular birth control or sexually transmitted diseases, or it could encourage more sexual activity in general. Like, where was that complaint when Viagra was put out?
First of all, I would like to say, now, I've never
Viagra's
taken the morning after pill.
I know, exactly.
I have known someone that took the morning after pill, and it is not a pleasant experience. This is not going to stop women from using regular birth control, and it may even cause further abstinence, because you take it, you are violently ill for about 3 days. As far as I understand it from the women I've heard of that have taken it, it's not a fun experience. This is not like, I'm going to have sex, I'm going to go out, take this pill, and I'll be fine forever. I mean, basically, your body is actively getting rid of this egg,
horrible cramping,
against
I imagine.
Well, it's just like saying legalizing abortions will just cause women to use that as a form of birth control.
Yeah, which is also not a pleasant experience.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that that's fun. That's something you do. Oh, well, I've got an hour before I go to work, now I'll go have an abortion. I don't think you're going to be using something like that as
painful. You get sick.
Control.
You bleed a lot.
There was an Onion article a while back that was titled, "I am totally stoked about this abortion."
It also costs thousands of dollars. I mean, an abortion costs thousands of dollars. The morning after pill is pretty expensive, and I don't think it's covered on health insurance plans. I mean, these are not like, goody, I'm going to go have sex and then take it, and that's going to, cure my life problems, and I never have to be responsible ever again. Well, it's not that simple.
One of the most entirely insulting things about all of this, Texas has enacted a law that women who go in for abortion have to receive pamphlets and stuff from the state. You're familiar with that?
Yes.
And they have to read it 24 hours later, and they can do it. And then you have the FDA saying that they're afraid to release this is one of their official regions because women may not be up to date on what it'll affect. The assumption being that women are just, by nature, stupid, incapable children who are unable to read a label and decide whether or not this is medicine that's good for us or a medical procedure that we've thought about for 6-7 months. Okay, well, obviously not that long, but however long it takes to go in there and make an informed consent.
To be fair to them.
Oh.
Right? We try to do that on the show.
Okay.
Right. To be fair to them, that may not be a very accurate description of women, but it is a pretty accurate description of human beings in general.
Right. So where's the thing telling a man he can't have prostate surgery unless he has a 24-hour delay?
I completely agree with that.
That's the problem.
I think they should have a pamphlet.
In fact, I need to go down one of these places and get those pamphlets and see what a point-by-point rebuttal one can come up with. Because going through a pregnancy is just as bad as going through an abortion. I've been told that they emphasize only the bad aspects of a botched abortion.
You get a baby at the end of it.
True. You also have, 22% chance of type 2...
For some people, that might be considered worse.
Well, just undergoing a pregnancy is itself bad. There's something like a 22 to 33% chance of gestational diabetes, which then gives you 66% chance of having lifelong type 2 diabetes. The options for high blood pressure, stroke, and aneurysms, these all go up just for being pregnant. You have men who think that the mere fact of putting out a child that ends it right there. There's no ongoing health problems. They have no idea what a woman can go through after a baby, even a perfectly healthy one.
So happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Yeah, go to it.
Are we done with the story about the woman with the dildos?
I believe so, yes.
Are we? Because that is the third one of those. We kind of wandered around a bit. That is the third one of those that I've seen since moving to Texas, and it leads me into viewer mail.
Oh,
well,
are we going to get
mail.
to the pilot story, or is that not very challenging?
I didn't bring it.
Oh,
I got it right
we
here.
got it.
We can do that if there's time. Ashley of Melbourne, Victoria, in Australia. Not you, Ashley. Another guy named Ashley. Right.
Do we know what
there's
the guy?
so few of them. You have to clarify that.
Hi to Russell and Jeff. I have downloaded all of the shows that you have on your website from about October, and though I don't agree with everything you say on the air, I do find it refreshing to find people who can at least think for themselves. I do have a question, though. Isn't it dangerous to be an atheist freethinker in the heart of the Bible Belt of Texas? I mean, you guys must cop a lot of rubbish, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some death threats being in Texas, which I understand is home of Fundy Central. Well, I mean, I think the series of dildo arrests is pretty good confirmation of your suspicions about Texas, Ashley. The Atheist Community of Austin, which is our local organization, has only gotten one death threat, or is it two? I think it was two.
I think it was two in 1 week, actually.
Yeah, it was a little spate of them that we had about a year and a half ago, but that usually came from the TV show,
and
just because
was
it's on TV.
And that was on our voicemail number.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Well, somebody called the show, just 2 weeks ago and tried to boil down to sort of a threat with Martin, trying to emphasize that he knew what car he drove and where he parks and all this stuff.
Yeah,
that he could identify him.
There was the
but that
guy.
wasn't a death threat, but somebody called in.
Threatening.
Yeah, well, somebody called in the show. He was talking on the show about something, I don't remember what, and he goes, "You drive an Explorer, right? Yeah, or whatever. You have like a Darwin sticker on the back of it, right?
Wow.
Right? And I was just like, yeah.
I don't remember this one.
Oh yeah, we didn't. I mean, it was
I have
just
been
one
off
of
for
those
a
subtle
week or two.
things.
It was on our TV show, The Atheist Experience.
Afterwards, I was just like, hey,
every Sunday from
why does he know
4:36
that?
on public access
It's
television.
really scary.
Yeah, what happened also on the show is one time a guy called in and completely random said, did you realize that 2064 on a number pad forms a sign of the cross? I'm like, okay, and that matters exactly how? And he says, well, isn't that the last four numbers of your phone number, Ashley? And it's like, then I clicked like, oh yeah, he knows how to use a website and look up phone numbers. And so, yeah, it was that kind of, like, I know your phone number. So, like, fine.
Christian love.
Yes.
Agree with us or else.
But yeah, I mean, there have been one or two people who left voicemail messages, threatening, the group or the people on TV show and stuff like that. Not very often at all, but...
it didn't register to me at first either, because at first, he was like, you have a Darwin sticker on the back of your car, right? I was like...
Who doesn't? In our group, who doesn't?
I have one. I don't, actually. I had to get filter fish, and it got ripped off my car.
I've got a question from the chat room.
Do ya?
Something.
Hi, everybody in the chat room, by the way. We haven't said hello to you folks yet.
Yeah. Brian asks, are any of you guys going to the March 24th God removal protest on the steps of the Supreme Court?
God removal? In Austin, Texas?
As in
from
the
U.S. Supreme Court? Or?
I don't know.
If it's in,
I asked him to clarify.
If it's in D.C.,
or I'll
certainly
ask him,
not.
hey, you, please clarify. We don't know what you
He'll hear
mean.
you in 2 minutes.
What are you talking about? Is this in Austin? Which court are we talking about, and which God reference?
I have not heard of this.
Because all we're familiar with here in Austin is the Ten Commandments monument on our state Capitol building lawn.
Yes, which of course we've done all we can about.
Yeah. More news?
Well, you want to do the co-pilot thing, which is absolutely horrid?
Sure, all right. We'll digress a little bit away from
that
love and sex and marriage and babies.
Okay, well, if you
it
want...
kind of fits in with the story of the pharmacist because it's another asshole bringing religion in on his job.
Sure.
Only this one affects more people.
Sure, well, of course, we want to stay on topic. We can talk about St. Valentine's Day and the unique ways the church has of martyring people. Do you have any idea of the imagination that they show? Are you familiar with the Catherine wheel?
The what?
The Catherine wheel. Good old St. Catherine of Siena.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Wait, it's a wheel
church
with...
does not murder people.
Not these days.
They don't kill their own people and say, "Now you're a martyr," do they?
Yeah, they do.
Have they done that?
That's what martyrs and that's where heretics come from, and they martyr their heretics. And then later generations decide these people really were, all good.
Oh
wow.
But look at Joan of Arc.
I've never heard of a. Did they saint her?
Yeah, St. Joan.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was a church thing through and through. Oh, well, so The God is My Co-Pilot is the title of this article about an American Airlines pilot who asked for all the Christians on his flight to raise their hands. He said he just came back from a mission trip in Costa Rica. He wants the Christians to identify themselves.
Did he say, all the Christians on my flight, raise your hands? Okay, now all the Muslims on my flight, raise your box cutters?
No, but according to an article, another one besides this, that none of the Christians raised their hands higher than their shoulders, and most of them apparently sat there and had it waving kind of in front of their chest because they didn't know what the heck was coming next. But even the Christians were freaked out. But when enough people had identified themselves, he told everybody who hadn't raised their hands to talk to the Christians because they could either watch the stupid movie or they could make the flight worthwhile. This was American Airlines Flight 34 from L.A. to New York.
Everybody Christian back there? Okay. Hang on. Here we go.
Well, and then the passengers were so freaked out, they were on their cell phones calling home just to make sure, I guess, if they were slammed into a building, people would know they were thinking of them.
Which I can understand.
Paranoid.
If I was on a plane and that happened, that's going to scare the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I don't want people telling me, "Hi, I'm your fundamentalist captain."
And what does
today.
this reveal? What does this reveal about religion, right? Religion is the big carte blanche. Right?
Okay, let you do anything.
Once you're talking religion, anything goes. You have no idea what to expect next.
But it only applies when your religion is the chosen one of the rest of the majority of the people.
Oh, no. I think this explains the fear of people in the standard religion of the culture, the automatic fear of people from other religions, because once again, they're aware anybody in any religion is going to have some wacky beliefs that have no bearing on reality.
Yes. But do we know if this guy got fired or anything?
No, they're not willing to say anything about it. But, the amusing thing is the first actual interview that I saw with this was with The Advocate, which is a gay-oriented magazine. I was told the publisher was on the flight. He managed to corner him. And he apologized to the flight attendants for having put them in the line of fire of the irate customers, or the people, but he hasn't apologized to any of the passengers or to American Airlines.
The pilot hasn't.
Yeah. He felt bad for putting his stewardesses and stewards in a bad position. But he didn't care about having scared all the people flying.
Stewardesses and stewards were all Christian?
It didn't say.
Co-pilot?
I guess you won't have to read The Advocate for that. I didn't read the whole, just a few excerpts.
Let's see if we can bring this back sort of on topic.
That wasn't?
Speaking of, we're doing love and romance and family and stuff.
I had something about religious carte blanche and children.
That would be way on topic. This is the link to bring us back sort of in that direction. Billboards urge Christians to quit looking at porn. It's like a pilot urging passengers to talk to Christians, right?
We want you to not look at the site
www.bigtits.com.
Don't look at that site. It's porn. Yeah, if you feel the horrible smut demon taking you over, go and read about Lot and his daughters. That'll calm you down. The Bible's so wholesome.
Dallas, Texas. Once again, another Texas story. For those of you in Australia wondering how creepy it is over here. Dallas, Texas. Forget buying that special someone a diamond necklace or a heart-shaped box of chocolates this Valentine's Day. A Dallas-based ministry thinks it has a better idea. Her gift for Valentine's? Stop looking at porn! Proclaim billboard messages posted by Net Accountability, a non-profit software company that aims to help Christians confront the secret sin of pornography.
But how are you going to convince these people to go out and have sex and not use dildos if they don't have porn?
Huh?
What?
Are you saying it's a trade-off?
You mean you need the porn to get yourself in the mood if you can't have your dildo?
Well, it can help, perhaps. Who knows? It's going to be more likely.
So what are you doing, week?
Well, apparently I'm here.
Net Accountability co-founders Brandon Cotter and Scott Covington say their target audience isn't those who see nothing wrong with perusing X-rated websites. Rather, it's Christians caught up in a behavior their faith views as immoral. Aha. Let me rephrase these two paragraphs here. Net Accountability co-founders Brandon Cotter and Scott Covington say they're taking advantage of the fact that Christianity teaches its adherents not to do something that they want to do. And so they're going to sell those people products. People such as Pastor Bernie Anderson, who says addiction to sexually explicit images threatened his marriage and his ministry. It was like a double life, said Anderson, 33, who pastors Seventh-day Adventist churches in DeSoto and Waxahachie near Dallas. The most powerful thing about it is that it's secret. No, the most powerful thing about it gives you a hard-on. Nobody knows but you, so you're just kind of fighting yourself. No, you're just kind of frigging yourself. If the national surveys are any indication, it's a personal battle waged by millions of Christians. Almost 18% of people who call themselves born-again Christians admitted visiting internet porn sites, according to a 2000 survey of 1,031 adults by the evangelical group Focus on the Family. In a 2002 Pastors.com survey, more than 50% of responding pastors reported viewing pornography in the previous year.
It was research. They had to know what they were inveighing against.
Wow.
Focus on the Family. They're the ones who pulled a poll off their site just 2 weeks ago because the numbers didn't conform to what they expected.
Yes.
Should we really trust what they're saying?
Yes, that's true.
They're probably underestimating the number of pastors.
Oh, I'm sure they're underreporting their activities, too.
Well, they can't keep count of that many.
Well, priests are unlikely to, admit to this. So if they come up with a survey saying 50%, it's probably more like 80.
There's a porn site. There's a porn site I've come across that's, I think it's called pornforjesus.com. Or is it JesusLovesPorn.com? I think it's JesusLovesPorn.com.
Or is it pornfeaturingjesus.com?
No,
it's
sadly.
Wholesome, family-oriented porn.
Since Cotter and Covington left their jobs in the technology field and started their ministry 2.5 years ago, using personal money and grants from nonprofit foundations, they have sold more than 5,000 copies of software they developed that lets an accountability partner monitor the websites visited by the recovering porn user.
That would be your porn buddy.
Your porn buddy. It's like a Napster of porn. Hey, buddy, look at the porn I found. Hey, man, this is some great porn. Partners receive logon names and passwords that let them view the history of sites visited by the other person. Net Accountability stresses that the procedure is secure so that no one beside the agreed parties can access the information. So if mom and dad want to have their private porn access, why, they can share that amongst themselves and the kids can't get in. $49 a year. It's not just a one-time purchase either. It's a subscription. $49 a year.
Well, they know who they're fleecing. Those people are willing to shell it out in spades if it makes them feel more godly.
I am glad that somebody's making money off porn on the internet, because so much of it is free. The billboards going up this week direct motorists to a website called PureRestoration.com. It touts purity workshops designed to help Nazis, Christians, for whom accountability software is not enough to overcome porn addictions. I've seen porn impact guys all around me.
Well, that marketing's paying off.
To get hit on the head with it?
Oh, boy. The reality is, you can beat it, but you're always somewhere that you have to continue to fight the battle, Anderson said. There's always going to be that temptation.
That's what they're trying to stop.
Alrighty.
I love it when they don't think about what they write in these articles.
More news.
Well, I've got this wonderful thing from Utah, not Utah. Texas. This is the way I phrased it was a Utah senator wants to sanction religious murder. But they have actually got a bill that is being put forward. It's called the Medical Neglect/Exclusion Bill in Utah. One of the provisions is a parent or guardian legitimately practicing religious beliefs and who, for that reason, does not provide specified medical treatment for a child is simply not guilty of neglect.
Whoa. You're kidding.
That's provision C. It actually says that. So if your kid dies because you're a Christian Scientist...
Religion is anything goes. Religion is just the big blank check to do whatever kind of crazy and insane shit that you want.
Yeah.
And when people step in and try to say, no, I'm sorry, there's only so far we're going to honor that blank check, right?
Then they
like
do
if
this
you get
end
your
run.
kids killed because of your religion, we're not honoring your blank check. Then the religionists come right back at you and say, oh, no, well, we'll make it a law. We'll make a law that says you have to honor that blank check.
Well, they haven't.
You have to let us do anything to our kids that we want.
Well, they've got another one that's another provision in that bill that says that nothing in this particular subsection, the one dealing with the neglect, will prohibit the state from taking medical measures when a licensed professional finds that without a medically necessary procedure, a minor will suffer death or serious disability within 120 hours of diagnosis. So there's a 5-day leeway. But that assumes, of course, that the kid is going to be seen by a doctor in the first place. And it also says that a parent's allowed still to get a second medical opinion no matter what was said within that 5-day period.
Whoa.
So if you're a homeschooled child, then you better hope that a neighbor notices that you're crawling around your hands and knees inside and calls the doctor on you or something.
But so it says that the state can still step in and force the parents to give the kid medical attention.
Correct, but you're still not negligent.
But you can't prosecute the parents.
Well, not for negligence.
For negligence.
Yeah, because they keep saying specify negligence. They might be able to come up with something else, maybe somebody with intelligence who actually cares about kids, knows of a law that they could press them against them, but not negligence. So Andrea Yates, gee, she could almost get away with that, huh? She should have been in Utah for her drownings.
Wow.
How is that not negligent, though?
Because it's religious.
If what you're doing doesn't work, you should try something else.
And if
it's over the life of your child,
does this say you can drown your kids in a bathtub and you get away
No,
with
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't say that. It says negligence.
True.
That's murder.
That was hyperbole.
Okay, let's just be clear. Right? In the interest of being fair, I think it's perfectly. But on this show, they call spades spades. But let's not go over this.
Okay, well, the idea was using such an extreme example so that somebody would pick up on it as being ironic or sarcasm.
Yeah, but people are morons. Not you people, though.
Are we tapped into a Christian station?
Okay. Ashley, do you have any more?
Brian was talking about.
Brian. Brian from the... is that his
from chat.
name in the chat room?
Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
37.
He was the guy in the chat room who asked us about the march was Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, March 24. That's when oral arguments will take place before the Supreme Court of the United States in a case seeking to remove under God from the Pledge of Allegiance. American Atheists and the Godless American March on Washington Task Force invite you to join them on a rally on the steps in support of the secular Pledge of Allegiance, Wednesday, March 24, 2004. On the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court building, rally starts at 11 a.m. Well, in answer to your question then, Brian, no, none of us are going that I'm aware of, but this is a fine thing, and I will make sure to announce this every show until the event. I was at the Godless Americans March on Washington. I did go to that, and that was quite an amazing and uplifting and inspiring event.
Is there still talk? I seem to remember the last time it happened, there was talk of doing it again 2 years later, which would be this year.
I haven't heard anything yet, but I'll go back and check their website.
Okay.
That wasn't 2 years ago.
I think
no. Year for that. I've only been in Austin for
it was a year and so much ago.
So this will be...
It was a year in November.
This is the start of another year, so it'll be during this year that it gets to 2 years.
It'll be 2 years this coming November, which is granted 8 months, 9 months away, but still.
Gotcha.
So.
Is anybody in the chat room going to this?
I don't know.
Okay. More news? Ashley?
This story here, I actually did read this one. Or part of it. It's censoring Scooby-Doo and many other things.
What?
Apparently the Bush administration has decided that people with bad hearing have bad judgment also. and needs special guidance from the federal government. So the U.S. Department of Education is declaring about 200 television programs inappropriate for closed captioning and denying federal grants, requesting to make them accessible to the hearing impaired. The department made its decision based on recommendations of a 5-member panel, but they're not saying who those 5 members are. That's being very, very quiet. The government's refusing...
And are those actual members, or are some of those dildos?
Apparently both, perhaps. The government is refusing to caption Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie, apparently, fearing that the deaf would fall prey to witchcraft if they viewed this classic sitcom.
So did they say that?
That is my argument with this article, is if you read on, there are lots of other things. The government also believes that Law and Order is too intense, Power Rangers, and so on. But it seems like this article is rampant speculation by who wrote it.
What their motivation was.
Exactly, because it says absolutely nothing in here that I read saying that the government is offering anything for this.
Please tell me that they decided they weren't going to spend any money on Gilligan's Island.
No, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are out.
Oh, good grief.
So I do not see anything about Gilligan on here. So, but yeah, it sounds like they're...
Everybody remember that show?
Gilligan's Island?
Yeah. You know, my favorite episode was the one where Gilligan gets in trouble.
Oh, I remember that one.
That one.
Did that have the professor in it?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And they went down to that lagoon.
I remember that was the one with the coconuts.
Alrighty.
One of those cultural things I have not seen.
Never?
Nope.
Wow.
I'd never seen it until my last nanny job, and the like 10-year-old kid in the group came home and watched it every single day after he got home from school and before he did his homework for an hour.
I have a close personal friend who just picked up the first season DVD of Gilligan's Island.
Well, that's the one that has the unreleased pilot on it with a different cast.
Am I going to have to write you off my list of friends, too?
No.
Because that's what I told him. Why do you know that? All right. No, that's fine. We won't judge you for a very good thing. Do you have a news story you'd like to do?
Well, I was wondering, since we were talking about the Department of Education in Washington, mind if I mention the restoration of the Constitution Act?
Sure.
Yeah, this thing is absolutely dreadful. It was just put out in Wednesday. It was put forth in the House and yesterday in the Senate. And what it is they are trying to make it unconstitutional for anybody to appeal to the Supreme Court a case referring to the Ten Commandments or any other kind of monotheistic religious. One of the exact quotes is Section 1260, matters not reviewable. Notwithstanding any other provision of this chapter, the Supreme Court shall not have jurisdiction to review by appeal, writ, or otherwise any matter to the extent that relief is sought against an element of federal, state, or local government, or against an officer of federal, state, or local government, whether or not acting in official personal capacity, by reason of that element's or officer's acknowledgement of God as the sovereign source of law, liberty, or government. Taking that out of the bureaucratese, if nobody could go after more, somebody could sue more for the Ten Commandments, but if they failed, they could not go to district court because the district court is also hobbled by this case, and it certainly could not go to the Supreme Court. It says here that anything that the Supreme Court's not allowed to review, district courts cannot review because it can't be reviewed by their superior. So it chucks it from district court. And then just in case the judge still...
Constitutional restoration involves gutting
the Constitution.
Gutting the separation of powers that is outlined in the Constitution.
Well, after they've taken out the Supreme Court and the district courts, they then say that to the extent that any justice of the Supreme Court or any judge of any federal court engages in any activity relating to this, they can be, this will be engaging in an activity deemed to constitute the commission of an offense for which the judge may be removed upon impeachment and conviction.
So any federal judge who hears anything to do with religion could be disbarred.
That's the way that's phrased, yeah.
Wow.
This thing for anybody who wants to look it up.
No,
that's just
this is not going to go anywhere.
Well, it's grandstanding, but the scary thing is that Adderholt and Pence, who are from Indiana, Alabama, Pence is Indiana, Adderholt is Alabama, they feel that they have got enough support at home to put forward something like this for the grandstanding, and they feel that there's enough of a base to make it acceptable. And then there was, 5 people in the Senate who went ahead and sponsored it, and they think that they've got enough support that people are going to praise them for this. The fact that they think there's that many, and by the way, it's H.R. 3799, if anybody wants to read the entire text on the Library of Congress.
Wow.
It's just appalling, and they call it the actual Constitution Restoration Act of 2004.
Why are they rushing to try to get this to happen before March 24th?
I don't know. Maybe there's a case coming up they don't want to have anybody read.
Yeah. I'm still waiting to hear the first valid argument to defend the words under God in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, wait a minute. If the Supreme Court doesn't hear the case, then it stands in California. They'll just...
Yeah,
then
that ruling stands.
But if the Supreme Court does hear the case, it's going to stand everywhere.
It's like a cancer. They're trying to cut it off before it spreads.
Exactly right.
Cut off the limb.
Exactly right.
An earthquake may do that.
Well,
amazing.
First of all, I don't think they'll pull it off. And second of all, this means that they really think that we'll win.
That's what I think. Cool. How are we doing on time, man?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. T-shirts? T-shirts. The T-shirt story. T-shirts, send abstinence message for Valentine's Day.
No.
Melissa Mills feels bombarded by everyday messages of sexual promiscuity, whether it's Janet Jackson's bare breast during the Super Bowl or her classmates' casual sex talk. Yeah, because, every time you turn on television, some celebrity is baring her breasts. Yeah. And every time,
if you get the right channels, yeah.
They're not exactly celebrities. So Melissa Millis. So Millis, a high school senior in Michigan, and thousands of other students across the nation plan to wear white T-shirts to school today, which was yesterday, the day before Valentine's Day, to publicly show their commitment to not having sex outside marriage. They're calling their effort the Day of Purity, and they will distribute abstinence pamphlets to their peers.
Just like any abstinence program, I'd like to know how many of them hold it up through midnight tonight.
What city was this in?
This particular girl is in Michigan.
Michigan. What, they don't have burqas in Michigan? They had to make their own?
The way sex is talked about, it's so casual, like it's an everyday thing, like going to McDonald's, said Millis, 17. Gosh, I wish. The grassroots effort is supported... What?
Sorry.
Actually, I don't wish to go to McDonald's as often as I have sex. Or wish to, anyway.
Do you wish it was an everyday thing?
Yeah.
I know you don't go to McDonald's every day, so maybe the analogy is not that apt for you.
Every other day would actually suit me.
Every other day.
Which one, McDonald's or sex?
And on
I can do without McDonald's.
And on every other day, he rested.
And it was good.
The grassroots effort is supported by Christian groups nationwide and organized by Liberty Counsel. Notice this. Organized by Liberty Counsel, when in the last very previous paragraph they said that the students planned on doing this to show their commitment to abstinence. No, fucking Christian organization. A conservative religious rights group based out of Orlando. It comes as President Bush is pushing his budget proposal to double federal funding for sexual abstinence programs. But the Day of Purity is being watched with a wary eye by groups that promote sexual tolerance, such as Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Educational Network, Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, blah, 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 blah. The Day of Purity website accuses those groups of, quote, a concerted effort in the schools and media to turn our youth away from traditional values. You know what's a traditional value?
Having sex.
High school kids having some sex.
It is one of the oldest activities in the world, wouldn't you say?
It would have to be, otherwise we're not here.
Yes, it doesn't get much more traditional than that. It's been there since day one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, is it not finished?
Not quite.
Okay.
Participants say having the Day of Purity right before Valentine's Day is especially appropriate since teenagers often feel pressure to have sex with their girlfriends or boyfriends on the holiday. And not having had any the day before, they'll feel even more pressure. That is appropriate. A lot of girls feel that in order to keep their relationship, they have to have sex, said Kelly Cruz, 16, who plans to pass out sexual abstinence literature at her high school in Illinois. I think this need for acceptance is very destructive to a girl. Yeah, I think pressure for acceptance is very destructive to people in general, including when you're pressured to, live your life a certain way in order to be part of one of these fucking fundamentalist religious organizations.
Well, they could accessorize the white T-shirt with a red belt, just like Orwell's recommended for his people.
And patches?
No, that's Huxley. You remember in 1984, the Junior Anti-Sex League had little red belts on so you could identify them. You don't read much, do you?
I haven't read that. I don't remember that yet.
No, this is the other dystopia, not Huxley. This is Orwell.
All right.
Also, just to again get back to the realistic point and perhaps the fair side of things here, we're not saying that abstinence is a bad thing. It is the surest way to avoid any kind of sexual disease in kids and all that kind of stuff.
It's also the default position.
It is certainly
during
a
the entire
valid
time you're not having any sex. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, it is true, and that's a lot
more time. That's a lot more time overall than we are having sex.
That's right.
So it's certainly a valid. It's certainly a valid
now,
position.
all of us have gone at least an hour and a half.
But saying that is the only form of birth control and the only way to be safe is getting ridiculous.
Well, especially
but it's still a valid position.
Well, especially when there are plenty of tests and examinations that are proving that abstinence-only education just doesn't work. When they're not given other options or information, kids are there's a greater incidence of pregnancy among those kids.
Exactly. The failure rate of abstinence is much higher.
There was a terrific column by Dan Savage last week. He's like a sex columnist in the Onion AV Club. And he got a letter from somebody. Who said, all the time I was dating my girlfriend, she wouldn't have sex with me because she said I could never have sex with somebody that I wasn't in love with. Then we break up. She no longer respects me, and then she comes back for sex. He says, what the hell is up with that? And Dan replies, that's what comes of abstinence-only education. You feel like you have to save your virginity, and if you don't, the other person won't respect you. But once you no longer care about their respect, you're still horny because you're abstinent. Except now you haven't learned about condoms and stuff, so you go and have unsafe sex. That's why it doesn't work.
All right. Well, in the last few minutes of the show here, for all of you out there in the audience who are ready to go have some sex now, I've done a little research for you. I've done some research on atheist singles websites on the internet. And I'm not going to have time to read this entire thing, but I'll just give you the fine points. I found 4 different ones that you might want to check out, those of you looking for atheists to get it on with. www.freethinkerpersonals.com is a site that is currently free, though they say that they're going to start charging at some point in the future.
Paidthought.com.
What?
Paidthought.com.
As opposed to freethought.com.
Clever, actually. Thank you. It's currently free. Also, it's I should point out that none of these I'll go on a case-by-case basis. On this website, it does cover gay and bisexual matchmaking, but there does not appear to be any provision for any other alternative lifestyles, if that's what you're looking for. That's www.freethinkerpersonals.com. Free Thinkers Matchmaker, www.freethinkermatch.com, has a $12 a month premium membership, and only premium members can initiate contact with other users. Once again, covers gay and bisexual matchmaking, but nothing else.
If the premium people only worth $12, they hate to do what the losers are. Covers gay and bisexual, but nothing else? So you can't, be straight?
Yeah, if you're swingers,
if you're straight?
No, you know what I mean. It covers straight, gay, and bisexual. Thank you. Thank you for straightening me out. Atheist Singles, www.atheistsingles.com. I should point out this is just one website in a large network called GeoSingles. This is not run by atheists.
30
this is
seconds.
they have 20 different religious-oriented matchmaking sites. There's a subscription membership, but they don't tell you what it is until you sign up for the free membership, and they don't even have gay or bisexual matchmaking.
First one's always free.
Atheist Personals, atheistpersonals.headofphil, PHIL.net/home.php. We're going to post this on our website for those of you that didn't get that when I read that off. Completely free, and once again, they cover straight, gay, and bisexual matchmaking, but nothing else. Those are some places to go if you're looking to meet other atheists this fine Valentine's Day. Thank you for listening. We will leave you with XTC doing I'm the Man Who Murdered Love. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in 2 weeks.